And it was a bit of a collective, really, of opinions, thinking, do you know what? Why should we sit back and take it? Why should we sit back and be lied to? So let's see how we can change it.
And if we all carry on signing the petition, we can be arrested because it's antisocial. What a load of shit.
Keir Starmer's latest move has sent shockwaves through the UK political landscape. The Labour leader's threat to label petition signers as antisocial isn't just raising eyebrows, it's raising serious questions about the state of democracy in Britain. But why is Starmer so keen to shut down dissent? As the petition calling for his resignation gains momentum, we dive deep into the murky waters of political suppression. From winter fuel allowance cuts to farmers' protests, we'll uncover the real reasons behind Starmer's desperate attempt to cling to power. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Meet Michael Westwood, the unlikely hero behind the petition that's got Westminster buzzing. This unassuming pub owner from Oldbury, West Midlands, never imagined his call for a new general election would catch fire like it has. But catch fire it did, spreading across social media faster than you can say broken promises.
The pub industry, just small businesses in general, was extremely concerned about the way that the budget was rolled out, about the way it was lied to for him to get into power.
We should put a petition forward and get it signed by as many people as possible to call a respect order on Keir Starmer.
Yeah,
What's your opinion, girls and boys?
Why are so many Brits rallying behind Westwood's cause? It all comes down to a growing sense of betrayal. Labour's pre-election pledges seem to have evaporated into thin air, leaving voters feeling hoodwinked and frustrated. The petition taps into this wellspring of discontent, giving voice to those who feel let down by Starmer and his team. Take the winter fuel allowance cuts, for instance. Pensioners across the country are feeling the chill, and not just from the weather. Many are struggling to keep warm, as Labour's policies leave them out in the cold. It's a far cry from the warm assurances they received before the election. But it's not just the elderly feeling the pinch. Farmers and small business owners are up in arms over Labour's inheritance tax changes. These hard-working Brits, who've poured their lives into building something to pass down to their children, now face higher taxes on their properties and assets. It's a bitter pill to swallow for those who believed Labour would support their aspirations. As the petition's signatures climbed, anticipation built. How would the government respond to this groundswell of public opinion? The answer came from Starmer himself, and it wasn't what many were hoping for. Appearing on ITV's This Morning, Starmer's reaction was dismissive at best.
Will stop businesses hiring. That's what they say. The CBI said on Monday that the dots of the government's policy don't join up.
Violent disorder, clearly whipped up online, that is also a crime. It's happening on your premises.
I remind myself that very many people didn't vote Labour at the last election, he quipped, seemingly brushing off the concerns of millions. His stance was clear. This petition, in his view, doesn't represent the will of the people who put him in power. Starmer's response raises some uncomfortable questions. Is he truly listening to the public, or just those who already support him? And what does this say about the state of democracy in Britain today? Just when you thought British politics couldn't get any more contentious, along comes a policy straight out of an Orwellian nightmare, or so social media would have you believe. Respect orders are the latest buzzword setting TikTok ablaze. But what exactly are they? And why are millions of Brits suddenly convinced Starmer's out to arrest anyone who disagrees with him? Let's cut through the noise. Respect orders are actually a new measure proposed by Labour to tackle antisocial behaviour. The idea is to give police and local councils more power to ban persistent troublemakers from town centres and public drinking areas. It's part of Labour's manifesto pledge to crack down on nuisance behaviour, which they argue hits poorer communities hardest. But here's where things get messy. A viral TikTok video claimed Starmer threatened to use these respect orders against people who signed the petition for a new election. The video spread like wildfire, racking up over 1 million views and sparking heated debates across social media platforms.
So for some honesty,
Yeah.
because what they're doing now is exactly what we haven't. No one was told about this. I don't even think that they knew that they were going to start going completely crazy.
No.
Nearly 7 million signatures. People are still whinging about it. It's not going to do anything. It is going to do something. That is absolutely incredible.
Suddenly, everyone and their gran was an expert on respect orders. The problem? There's not a shred of evidence that Starmer ever made such a threat. No reputable news outlet has reported anything of the sort. It's a classic case of misinformation running amok in the digital age. So what's the real story behind respect orders? They're actually a bit of a blast from the past. Reminiscent of Tony Blair's antisocial behaviour orders, ASPOs, that were scrapped back in 2012. Labour argues they're necessary to restore order in communities where petty crime and nuisance behaviour have spiralled out of control. But not everyone's buying it. Some experts are raising red flags about the potential impact on civil liberties. After all, who gets to define what counts as antisocial? There's a worry that these orders could be used to stifle legitimate protest or target marginalized groups. The whole debacle highlights a bigger issue: the spread of political misinformation in the digital age. How did we get to a point where a single TikTok video can convince millions that the government's out to get them? It's a stark reminder of the need for critical thinking and fact-checking in our increasingly polarized political landscape. As the dust settles on this latest political storm, we're left with a stark reminder of the growing chasm between public sentiment and government accountability. The viral petition, Starmer's response, and the swirling misinformation about respect orders all point to a deeper malaise in British democracy.
I'll decide when there's more.
Mr. Speaker, until then, I'm the one asking the questions. There's a petition out there, 2 million people asking him to go.
Well, I see now as well that, after all of the arguments last week about the farming tax and the inheritance tax, that Keir Starmer actually coming out and saying that BBC Verify.
Because I think there's a petition that's currently online
have dropped.
of 1.9 people who want the election to go again.
Is it 2 million now? It's now just over 2 million.
In this digital age, where a single TikTok video can spark nationwide outrage, the need for critical thinking has never been more pressing. We've seen how easily false claims can spread, muddying the waters of political discourse. It's a wake-up call for voters to sharpen their fact-checking skills and approach online information with a healthy dose of skepticism. But let's not lose sight of the bigger picture. This whole saga underscores the ongoing debate about how public opinion shapes policy in modern Britain. Are our democratic processes keeping pace with the rapid-fire nature of social media movements? Can viral petitions truly influence those in power, or are they just digital noise? As we move forward, one thing is clear: the relationship between voters and their representatives needs a serious overhaul. The disconnect is palpable, and it's fueling a dangerous cycle of mistrust and misinformation. Until we bridge this gap, we're likely to see more clashes between public dissatisfaction and political intransigence. The question is, who will take the first step towards genuine reform?